Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be my first video on grammar and we are going to learn today about lexical verbs and dilexical verbs. I think most of you are not familiar with this term. Lexical comes from the word lexicon. It means the vocabulary of a language. Everything that you know comes from your vocabulary, right? Our vocabulary is a record of our culture. Everything that we have ever learned, all the words are there. So lexical comes from lexicon, the vocabulary of a language. So what is a lexical verb? Let's learn. A lexical verb is the main verb in a sentence. It always carries the core idea. That's what a main verb does. It expresses the main action or a state of being or position in a sentence. It expresses the core idea. That is why it is called the main verb or the principal verb. A lexical verb is always the main or the principal verb in a sentence. Okay? A lexical verb is independent and has a clear traditional meaning of its own. It is the vital point of a lexical verb. It carries a clear traditional meaning, the meaning that we learn from vocabulary. For example, running means to run, or jumping, or swimming, or sleeping. It carries a clear traditional meaning that we have learned from our elders, from our teachers, basically also from the vocabulary. That is why it is called a lexical verb in the first place, right? So, number one is a lexical verb is the main verb in a sentence, and then it is independent and has a clear traditional meaning of its own. It carries a clear traditional meaning. And next, it may or may not be a finite verb. What is a finite verb? A verb that changes according to tense. A verb that shows tense and changes according to the number and person of the subject. A lexical verb may or may not be a finite verb. It may be a finite verb, it may not be a finite verb. It depends on how it is used in a sentence. We'll see that with an example, okay? Let's learn with examples now. For example, let's look at this example. He plays cricket. In this sentence, the verb is plays. Now, as you can see, it has a clear traditional meaning of its own. To play means you know that we play, the act of playing. this sentence does not have an auxiliary verb because it is written in the simple present tense. So it has subject and then V1, and what does he play? Cricket. There comes your object. So in this sentence, plays shows the tense, that the sentence is in simple present, and also shows the number of the subject. See, we have added an S after the verb play. It means the subject is a third person singular. It is a he. So this verb shows tense, that it is in simple present, also shows the number, that the subject is singular, and person, that the subject is a third person. So in this case, this lexical verb that carries a clear traditional meaning also shows tense and number and person, right? That's why in example number 1, the verb plays is a lexical verb and a finite verb. This is a lexical verb and a finite verb. Okay. Now we are going to see another example. Let's look at example number 2. She is writing a novel. Let's look at the verb writing. It carries a clear traditional meaning. The act of writing, to write, means to write something, right? With a pen or a pencil or anything, or a chalk on a board. So this carries a clear meaning, and it is also expressing the main idea of this sentence, that she is writing a novel. So it expresses the main idea of a sentence, therefore it is the main verb, and then it is also expressing a clear traditional meaning. So the verb writing here is a lexical verb. Okay, we have learned this word from the dictionary, from the vocabulary of the English language. Now, does this verb show tense or number or person? Does it? Look at this. This sentence has an auxiliary verb. She is writing a novel. The finite verb in this sentence is, because this auxiliary verb is showing the number, that the subject is singular. Right? Had the subject been they or I, the auxiliary verb would have changed. Had it been I would have written I am writing a novel. But the writing would have been constant. See? This is a constant. The verb writing here is unaffected by the change in tense, number or person. If you change it into past continuous, it will be she was writing. If you change it into future continuous, it will be she will be writing. The verb writing is constant. It is not changing with the tense, number and person. The auxiliary verb is changing. So in this sentence, this auxiliary verb is the finite verb. But the verb writing is the participle form. It is the V4. Present participle, and a participle is a non-finite verb. So in this case, this verb is lexical but not a finite verb. I hope that was clear. A lexical verb may or may not be a finite verb. In example number 1, the verb plays is a lexical verb because it expresses a clear traditional meaning and also the core idea of the sentence of playing cricket. That is why it is a lexical verb and a finite verb, because it is showing the tense, number and person. In example number 2, the auxiliary verb is the finite verb because it shows the tense, number and person. The writing here is a participle and therefore a non-finite verb. So this is a verb phrase that has included auxiliary verb and the main verb. The main verb here is a non-finite verb, the participle. Okay, the main verb, the lexical verb. You need to know that a main verb is not necessarily a finite verb in a sentence. Okay, when we write a sentence in continuous or perfect continuous, the main verb is usually the past participle or present participle form of the verb, V3 or V4. It is in simple present and simple past that we do not often use auxiliaries. In those tenses, we will use lexical verb as the main verb and the finite verb. But in case of a continuous tense or perfect continuous, the lexical verb or the main verb will not be a finite verb. It will be a non-finite verb. It will be a participle. The auxiliary verb will be finite. So I hope what a lexical verb is now clear to you. It is the main verb in a sentence. It is independent and has a clear traditional meaning of its own, and it may or may not be a finite verb. Okay?